Hello, welcome to Gus McDoll Strategy and Tactics, and thank you to our subscribers. In this series, we play through the 16 operations of the German Grand Campaign in Close Combat 3, the Russian Front. Please remember to subscribe, comment, and like the video, and if you want to show your support with a donation, the links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. It is day 1 of 10 on Operation 2 of 16. Operational Briefing: German roads to Moscow, November 20, 1941. The muck and mire of the muddy season is over. The frozen ground means your panzers can once again move freely across the Soviet countryside. Your command is now attached to the 19th Panzer Division as part of Operation Typhoon. Your objective is to crush the forces facing you, capture Moscow, and destroy the Bolshevist government. The Soviet Fifth Army is facing you. Employ standard blitzkrieg tactics. Hit hard and fast to reach Moscow before heavy snow bogs you down. Intelligence reports the Bolshevists are burning buildings to rob us of shelter. They also report you can expect field fortifications on your route. This final push demands iron discipline, sacrifice, and peak performance. On to Moscow. Battle Briefing: Roads to Moscow, Operation Typhoon. The road to Moscow starts here. Your objective is to crush Bolshevist resistance and secure a route forward. Without possession of the road, we'll be unable to keep you supplied as you drive forward. Your command is attached to the 19th Panzer Division, so look to add armour, even commanders in half-tracks or tanks, to your fighting force. Intelligence indicates our tanks might be inferior to the new Soviet model spotted in your sector, but remember, our crews have superior training and experience. Adding command armour to your force will give you superior control on the battlefield. Make sure command armour survives the battle. Think about choosing teams prepared for winter conditions. The hill above the crossroads dominates the terrain. Any enemy weapons on this hill threaten your infantry, and anti-tank guns and tanks here will endanger your panzers. The low trees west of the hill might offer concealment as you advance. Don't ignore your southern flank as you advance. On to Moscow. We start the operation with the same forces from the last battle. Von McDoll, Kommandobehörden 1941. Rifle Infantry, Schützen 1941. MG Infantry, Maschinengewehr 34, Early War. Panzer Mark 4D, Medium Tank. Panzer 35T, Czech Light Tank. Light anti-tank gun, 5 cm Panzerabwehrkanone. Light mortar, 5 cm Granatwerfer. First things first, let's refit some of the teams. Rifle Infantry. Machine Gun Infantry. Next, let's build up Kampfgruppe McDoll. The briefing warned us of enemy tanks. I do not have enough points for another tank. Instead, I might want to add some more anti-tank artillery. This would give me 2 infantry, 2 tanks, and 2 anti-tank artillery pieces. I have the choice between 3 types of 3.7 cm pack guns, 2 self-propelled. Half-track anti-tank, Sonderkraftfahrzeug 251/10, 3.7 cm pack. Use this medium half-track's 3.7 cm main gun as mobile artillery for infantry support, reconnaissance, counterattacks, or mobile defence. Half-tracks use speed instead of armour for protection. Avoid tanks and anti-tank guns. They are equipped with 3.5 cm L46 cannon, coaxial MG34, a Panzer 39 anti-tank rifle, and 4 Walther P38 pistols for the crew. Excellent. And that is Kampfgruppe McDoll. Let's examine the terrain and develop a plan. North is to the top of the map. The roads to Moscow meet here at a series of junctions in the open ground between forests at the village of Boguslav. Snow blankets the entire area. I have marked 6 areas moving west to east. Number 1, a forest northwest of the road junctions. The forest is bounded by the roads to Smolensk to the west and the road to Dukovshchina to the north that meet in the southeast corner of the forest on the western edge of Boguslav. The wooded areas provide some concealment, particularly for infantry, but little or no cover. Number 2. An open snow-covered field to the south. This flat featureless area offers excellent observation and fields of fire, but no cover or concealment. Number 3. Hill 132, the high ground north of the road junction. Hill 132 overlooks the road junction and Boguslav. 2 lines of trenches are dug into the hillside, providing cover and concealment to infantry. The area west of the trenches is open all the way to the south. The forest to the east provides some concealment, but little or no cover. Number 4. The east-west road to Moscow, the road junctions and village of Boguslav. The village buildings are all burned out, part of the Bolshevist scorched earth policy. The buildings provide some concealment and cover from direct fire, but none from the weather. Number 5. A clump of buildings along the road to Yelnya, south of the junctions. Again, the buildings are burned out. The ground west and north of this clump is flat and open, but there is a forest to the east that can provide concealed approaches. Number 6. Hill 109, a large hill above the crossroads to the east. The road to Moscow splits around the base of the hill. Hill 109, above the crossroads, dominates the terrain. Any enemy weapons on this hill threaten your infantry, and anti-tank guns and tanks here will endanger your panzers. Each of the forested areas are key terrain, as they permit concealed overwatch of the road junction. Hill 109 is decisive terrain, as it dominates the area. 3 avenues of approach suggest themselves. Across the open ground and through the forest to the north, up the roadway through Boguslav in the centre, and across the open ground and through the forest to the south. I assess the enemy will use the open ground as their engagement area and will site tanks, guns, machine guns and mortars to fire into this area. The enemy's first course of action is to select a Hauptkampflinie or main line of resistance running north-south. Platoons will be dug in on Hill 132 to the north and in the ruined buildings to the south to enable flanking fire on the road. A depth platoon would be sighted in the ruins at the base of Hill 109 to complete a fire sack. Tanks, guns or machine guns would be sighted on Hill 109, firing into the open area. The advantage of this course of action is that all units can bring fire to bear into the engagement area from multiple flanks. The disadvantage is that each platoon is far apart from the others and unable to provide mutual support. The enemy's second course of action is to select a Hauptkampflinie running northwest to southeast, anchored on a line from Hill 132 to Hill 109. Platoons will be dug into the trenches at Hill 132, in the forest to the west, and in the ruins at the base of Hill 109. Tanks, guns, or machine guns would be sighted on Hill 109, firing into the open area. The advantage of this course of action is that each of the platoons can support the others, with maximum firepower to the front controlling the road junction. The disadvantage is that Hill 109 would be vulnerable to flanking through the forests to the south. The first course of action is an assault across the open ground and through the forest to the north. The Germans would mount a frontal attack on Hill 132. Once secured, they would move through the forest and close on Hill 109. The advantage of this course of action is that it involves the shortest time out in the open. Once German forces reach the forest behind Hill 132, they have time and space to reorganise to attack Hill 109. The disadvantage is that it involves a frontal attack over open ground with the possibility of flanking fire, committing the entire Kampfgruppe with no reserve. The second course of action is an assault up the roadway through Boguslav in the centre, under covering fire from the armour and artillery. The advantages include that infantry can use the cover of the ruined village buildings to advance without being caught in the open, and the armour and anti-tank guns can provide fire support throughout the attack without moving position. Also, the axis of attack is directly aimed at the objective, Hill 109, with no requirement to shift the axis midway through the fight. The disadvantages include that an attack up the centre is vulnerable to flanking fire, potentially on both sides. This could cause the attack to lose momentum and stall. The third course of action is an assault across the open ground and through the forest to the south. The advantages include that once the buildings on the road to Yelnya are taken, the Germans can advance through the forest and flank Hill 109. This course of action is similar to the first, but with two key differences. Assuming the Germans don't deploy in the open, there is more open ground to cross from cover. Second, there is less room to the south to redeploy for the attack on Hill 109. This is a difficult choice. Each course of action is either equally good or equally bad. On balance, I choose an attack up the centre. My reason is that the armour and artillery can provide fire support against Hill 132, Hill 109 and the road to Yelnya along the axis of assault, all without moving position. False. Simply halt at the edge of the woods without using the concealment available. As a result, the vehicle easily falls victim to enemy anti-tank guns or armoured cars. Correct. Do not move to the edge of the wood line. From a short distance from the wood line, observe from a concealed position. The Battle for Lemberg in summer 1941 is now a distant memory. Von McDoll wrote proudly to his parents of his promotion to Pfannenjunker unter Feldwebel, another step closer to commissioning from officer candidate to Leutnant, and of his award of the Iron Cross Second Class. On a brief leave period, he visited Gentz, Heinzel, Buchmann, Hilferding and Grönig in hospital. Now back at the front, his Kampfgruppe has been reassigned to 19th Panzer Division for the final push on Moscow. I have now moved my troops into position and will execute the plan in real time. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the various courses of action and if you've identified a viable alternative. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more great strategy and tactics content. And so we begin. No immediate enemy contact. German doctrine states that tanks should not move to the edge of the wood line, but observe from a concealed position a short distance from the wood line. So for now, we wait. Achtung, Panzer! A brief sighting on Hill 109. The 5cm pack takes aim. Hit! The BT-7M is burning. The Germans remain in their concealed positions, watching for Russians. Von McDoll plans to wait for 3 minutes, then commence the assault. Feel free to skip ahead.
Мы пропали!
3 minutes are up and the infantry crawl forward. They are trying to remain concealed. The tanks keep a watchful eye. The platoon advances on a narrow front. They will leapfrog through Boguslav. An unexpected surprise. The mortar team does not have a mortar. Von McDoll orders them to move up and join the assault as riflemen. The infantry squads now plan their advance through Boguslav. Crawling makes the assault slow going, but it is important to remain concealed as long as possible. The machine gun infantry are out of the woods and move towards the village.
Truppe umgruppiert.
There are Russians to the south, in the buildings on the road to Yelnya. It looks like a machine gun nest. The light infantry hold position. The Panzer 35T has line of sight. Both sides open fire around the same time. The heavier volume of fire from the tank starts to tell.
Stellung eingenommen.
Мы пропали!
Ziel neutralisiert. Stellung eingenommen.
The machine gun team is destroyed.
Противник предложил прекращение огня!
The Russians request a truce, which is a good sign. The light infantry pick up and move to the first building. Their advance is covered by the machine gun infantry. The troops move slowly through the snow. They pick up the pace. Incoming! Russian mortar rounds start to fall around the western end of Boguslav.
Противник предложил прекращение огня!
The machine gun infantry leapfrog to the next building. As does von McDoll. Contact! Russian troops at Hill 132. The Panzer 35T opens fire. The Panzer 4D joins in. And the 5cm.
Мы пропали! Укрытие! Неудобно!
The Russian squad is destroyed. This shows the benefit of the infantry advancing under cover of a strong backline of fire support. The light infantry now leapfrog.
Противник аннулировал свое предложение о мире.
Casualties from a Russian mortar shell. Contact. More Russians at Hill 132. Intense German fire opens up from the armour and machine gun infantry. The half-track starts to move up. Major victory. The battle ended because the Russians fled the battlefield. The Germans gained control of the area and will advance. German losses were 1 killed and 1 wounded, both by mortar shell. Russian losses were 6 killed, 4 wounded and 1 tank destroyed. Let's examine the Kampfgruppe. No new medals. The Panzer 35T accounted for most of the enemy casualties, along with the anti-tank gun. The history screen records which soldiers have fought in which operations. Here, the ones with medals fought in the Blitzkrieg operation, but not the new guys in the half-track. Obersoldat Mehnert in the light infantry was killed, and Gefreiter Abzug wounded, both by mortar shell. Otherwise, the Kampfgruppe was okay. So, what did we learn? On this occasion, I decided not to conduct a frontal assault over open terrain against an enemy of unknown strength and disposition. The battle was a little slow at times, but the approach was sound. German doctrine states that tanks should not move to the edge of the woodline, but observe from a concealed position a short distance from the woodline. This cautious approach worked and enabled the support fire line to rapidly detect, engage and destroy the BT-7M, the Russian machine gun, and 2 squads of infantry. But, once again, German casualties were due to Russian artillery. This suggests the German infantry should remain concealed within cover. When they need to move in the open, move fast. That way the artillery lands where you were, not where you are. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and donate, and stay tuned for the next episode.